Welcome back to Housewives Nightcap. We are thrilled to welcome Teddi Mellencamp, former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
First things first, give us an update on your life because we miss you. What's going on with you?
Well, I've missed talking to you, so thanks for having me on. Life here is good. Like, I have no complaints. You know, I think with everything that happened with the pandemic and my daughter having neurosurgery and everything, 2020 was a hard year for us. And I feel like 2021, it's like we're making a turn and everything's feeling good. Like, my kids are healthy. My marriage is good. Business is good. I just started a new podcast called Real Time Crime, which is so fun because it's such fun is a weird thing when you're saying murder, but it's just such an escape. I've always been that person, which I'm sure you knew from watching on the show, where I just love to investigate and sleuth. And like, I was so excited when iHeartRadio came to me with that opportunity because I do it anyway.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with true crime as well. I wake up, I listen to it, I go to sleep, I listen to it. So
I'm
listen
so
to
excited. It all the time.
I'm obsessed.
Kind of like, there's never not true crime going on with her. But Teddi, the podcast is already so great. There's only a couple episodes so far because you guys just launched. You said you've always been super interested in this. So was this just the obvious next step for you?
Well, I already had a deal over at iHeart doing Teddi Teapot. And so we would always, the producers and I always talked about the things I would obsess over. And always I would be sending crime stuff. And they're like, Teddi, Teapot isn't about that. And I'd be like, well, maybe we could just cover this. And so when it ended up launching, they just came to me and they were like, hey, do you want to audition for this? And I did. And I was immediately hit it off with my co-host, Leah Lamar, who's a hilarious comedian. And now we've really just gotten into it. And every week we're digging into new cases. This coming up week for Monday, we're actually going to be talking about Pop Smoke, which I'm sure you guys can remember what happened in my old rental house. And there was so much discussion about that. So I really want to, make everything very clear on what actually went down and share our, what we knew from our side and then all the things that we didn't know. So you guys have to tune in because there's just so much that the media went wild over that just was not the truth.
I'm glad that you're going to set the record straight.
Yeah.
To remember that whole ordeal.
Yeah. It was heartbreaking. I was pregnant. I lived in a different house.
Yeah.
We never even knew he was staying there because it wasn't under his name. And it was, through a rental company, but I got a call from somebody that works for me and crying. And she said, it's on KTLA that somebody was just potentially murdered in your home. And
that is so crazy.
I was like, what are you talking? And I looked over at my husband. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, none of us had any idea what was going on. So, I don't want to get in too much to it here because I really want you guys to listen.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cut anything short.
Yeah.
And so, but please, you can listen to it anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I also feel like your new brunette hair really goes with your new crime persona.
I know.
Who knows how long it's going to last. I realize that every time I have a child, I end up dyeing my hair some dramatic color. Like I was red after Slate. And, it took me longer this time. I was pink for a little bit after Dove, but now I was just like, you know what? Let's change it up a bit. I think this is my natural color. I think my natural color now is kind of gray, but no. This is the closest to my natural color.
So we were talking about the crime podcast and you recently talked about what happened at Dorit's house, which as fans, we're genuinely fans. We love her. Lauren loves Dorit because she had a really amazing experience with her once.
She's amazing.
But we feel so terrible what happened, horrible.
I don't want to speak too much on her behalf, but I can say that she is so incredibly strong. The way that she was able to handle everything, the way that her kids never had to know anything was going on. She's just so beautiful and strong. And, I know that she's going to do the work to be able to get through how, it's very traumatic,
So
beyond traumatic. And I know I'm having a hard time sleeping at night and it didn't even happen to me. So I just know when kids are involved and she's really just, I mean, she's a good person and nobody
Great.
deserves that. And, you know, I'm just so beyond grateful that they're all okay.
All okay, which is a miracle.
Yeah.
A miracle. And I know you, Kyle, Erika, all showed up, and Lisa all showed up to her house that next morning, which as a fan, I'm like, that just kind of warmed my eyes. Emily and I were like, oh my God, this is insane. You know, it was such a nice thing to also see you guys all rally around her, which I'm sure meant a lot to Dorit.
You know, we definitely didn't know. I mean, it wasn't even like something like we all planned by any means. Like I had just dropped my kids off at the bus and I was getting texts like, is Dorit okay? And I'm like, what? And so then we all, you know, just rallied together. I'm like, I'm on my way. I live close, like whatever it is. And we were just there. And, you know, I know that whenever things are really hard, there's a portion of shock that you're still in. And I know that just having people that you trust and you care about and that know that, you know, we're there for her 100% no matter what, you know, I know is helpful, but it's going to be a long road ahead.
But being the true crime woman you are, did you go into it like, hold on, what's like investigating a little bit here?
I mean, of course, I want to know exactly what happened and, you know, not even just being a true crime person, but just being a friend and also being, you know, everybody wanting to make sure that, you know, justice is served. But there's only so much we know.
Also been a lot of reports that the show has started filming. Did they film the aftermath? Because I mean, you were there that next morning.
I don't know what I'm at liberty to say, but when I was there, they were not filming.
Okay.
So that was just like, it wasn't planned. There was nothing on a call sheet.
I want you back on, Teddi. That's why
well, that was the whole thing, that people saw you there and it was like, of course, this is such a horrible incident. But then when people saw you there, they're like, oh, is Teddi back on? Like,
for me, I'm still on a group text with those girls. They're my best friends. I'm going to be there for them regardless. And, you know, I feel really lucky that I was in a situation that I met some of my closest friends on a reality television show in my mid 30s, you know, that where we were fighting half the time. So I think it really goes to show like how much this television show can bond you together, because it's a situation that you go through that no one else really understands unless you've lived it.
That's so true. But this last season was really hard. You
dodged a bullet.
I'm actually grateful. I mean, not only because we were dealing with enough stuff with our kids being, you know, not being able to go to school and COVID and all these things, but it was just so heavy. And, you know, being an investigator, that is a situation I did not want to investigate. And I still don't, because you're just going to have to wait and see. There's nothing. It's not a cold case. It's current. And like, we just need to wait and see. And it just was too hurtful. I couldn't, it's sad all around. It made me sad for all parties involved.
As a viewer, it was, you know, obviously good TV. You not being on was probably a blessing for you.
Yeah. Ultimately,
Erika's part of your really good friend group. And so we had that friend group not really asking any questions, that in turn, a lot of people fired back at them of like, why didn't you ask these questions about Erika?
Well, something that I said earlier on is, you know, to the people that they didn't show this, but the one episode that I was on was like, listen, you guys are coming in hot now wanting all of these questions answered. But what about last year? What about nobody ever asked any questions about her relationship before? And we were never around him. Mm-hmm. So why now? Because you want to hurt her, or you want to, like, it doesn't make any sense to me, because I have friends that, you know, you share everything with, every little detail of your life. And I have friends that, no, you just don't. And so if that person was that kind of friend to certain people, now to think that you're going to get every crumb of detail is like, you're solely doing it for dramatics. At the end of the day, more and more people just got hurt because of it.
I did want to ask you though, because, you know, on your time on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I remember you had this conversation with Lisa Rinna about her daughter Amelia's past eating disorder. And I wanted to get your take on her other daughter, Delilah. She took to Instagram yesterday and detailed her recent health struggles, which she said ultimately led to an accidental overdose. Have you talked to Lisa about this?
I haven't. I mean, we haven't gotten deep into the conversation. And I think that what is hard with anybody's children and with anybody in the public eye is that mistakes are going to happen from doctors, from other people. And then also while you're trying to share, it can also get misconstrued in so many different ways. So I think that's the hard thing. When you come out, when you make a statement, when you say things, one person can hold on to one little thing, but really that was like a 28-minute live.
It was, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And she did little part where she was actually saying how she has Lyme, how all these issues, which are horrible.
Yeah, she's struggling.
So scary to be dealing with that and trying to figure out what is working and not. But of course, that one little bite. And I think, you know, when it comes to autoimmune diseases, when it comes to so many, when you're in the process of your journey of figuring things out, you're going to make mistakes. Right? And that's life. But when you're in the public eye and you have to share them, and then everybody jumps on you, they're either going to jump on you and support you, or they're going to come at you and blame you for all of the different things. I know it's hard, but I know that her kids are beautiful, strong kids. And like anybody, they're going to go through rough times, and they're trying their best to be authentic, because that's what makes you feel okay. If you feel like a phony, it's hard to wake up every day and feel good about yourself.
Yeah. And you know what it's like, your dad was famous when you were growing up, you know, which, by the way, that photo of your grandpa who is 90.
What? Right? Well, I mean, but I was different time. You have to remember. I mean, people always say like
media.
You grew up with, there was no social media. We had like Polaroids. Like I have like a number of photos of even me with my dad as a kid. Like it wasn't like that. Not to mention I didn't grow up in LA. So LA is very different because everybody's obsessed with celebrity. I mean, even my daughter we'll be on a walk and she'll be like, oh, there's that guy. And I'm like, what guy? And she's like, the Paps. And then she'll be like, should we Google and see if he got us? And I'm like, why? No, we should not Google and see if he got us. But it's just this, I've never in my life thought about the Paps or like.
You're like, Slate, you're not famous.
I'm like, Slate, don't, like, no. And, you know, but it's just things that they're just becoming more aware of. And so it's like more than ever, like that's why I have my kids in sports and I have them doing a million different things, because I want them to know what it takes to work hard and show up and not get too sucked into this, because it's hard.
Wow. I can't even imagine what that would be like your daughter seeing that and like how to handle it. But I know, Teddi, you are probably the mom that is like your kids are not falling off the track. You're like,
you so never know. I mean, and here's the thing, all kids struggle. Like my son has like major anxiety and we work through it, and he's, you know, we have somebody that helps him. We have certain tools. Like, I mean, he slept in our room until recently. And so I think that everybody has these things. It's just who's open to talk about it. And then how do people not misconstrue it? Because even when I shared that, people are like, well, you should have been not let him sleep in your room in the first place. And then he wouldn't want to be like that. And everybody has their 2 cents. But I think what we all need to remember is we're all doing the best that we can. Right. We're all doing the best that we can. And we all are going to have different struggles. And what I do know about every housewife that I've ever worked with is they love their kids a lot and they would do anything for them. And I know that I feel the same way.
That is obvious. That is obvious with all the housewives, which we love.
Yeah.
Now, Teddi, do you think, I mean, I know you get this question all the time, but do you think you'd ever come back?
Here's the thing. I love pop culture. I love the show. I love working with people that are fun and nice and friendly. So like for me, it's not Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is not the end all be all. Now that the first year was hard because I was like, are my friendships going to remain intact? Am I going to feel FOMO? Am I going to have all of these things? And then I was like, you know what? My friendships have actually gotten closer. Business is still good. Life is still good. I'm still married. I still, you know, like all of these things are wins. So it's like, you know,
your marriage, like I love you guys together, but I also love that you met on a one night stand. That is like
so good. It's so good.
I mean, and people are like, well, now everybody's meeting on apps. I'm like, I could have never, like, I would have never picked Edwin from an app and he would never have picked me.
I would never have picked my boyfriend either, ever, ever, ever. So it's funny how we didn't meet at apps either. we met in person. So
yeah. So it's like, to me, it's like we're the one night stand that lasted forever.
right. I love it. Oh, that's a great note to end on. I love that.
Yeah, I want you though to plug all the stuff you have going on.
Yes.
There's a podcast, but then you got 2 podcasts. So,
well, if you go on to my Instagram at Teddi Mellencamp, I have a link tree on there. You can see everything I'm up to from All In, which we're doing an amazing promotion the month of November. So if the price point has ever held you back from getting started to go all in on you, the entire month of November, you do the 2-week jumpstart, and then you get the first month completely free. We have never offered a discount like this. So honestly, now's the time. Get in there right after Thanksgiving, do it on the 29th. By Christmas, you're feeling like $1 million. So there's that. I've also got real-time crime, and I'm constantly up to something. So you'll find it all on my Instagram. I probably post too much, but
you do not. I love following you.
I love it. I mean, it's my life. It's my business. Somebody's like, what about doing 2 separate ones? I'm like, nah, everything's here because this is who I am.